Another fine show brought to you by the Law of Attraction Radio Network. The Law of Attraction Talk Radio is the radio show that is changing the world through science and spirituality as we realize that our well-being and our happiness is through our own thoughts. The Law of Attraction Talk Radio. The Jules. Welcome to Law of Attraction Talk Radio. I'm Jules from beautiful Southern California. Thanks for joining us tonight as we talk about the Rags to Riches story featuring Sandy Forster, author of Wildly Wealthy. There's going to be some things that you can definitely take away from tonight's show, so stay with us for this. It's really going to be very, very interesting. Sandy is an international speaker, millionaire mindset mentor, best-selling author, and award-winning business owner. She was even recently honored as 2008 International Mentor of the Year. An amazing achievement in itself, but even more rewarding for Sandy, as just 6 years ago, she was a single mom on welfare, and through discovering the law of attraction and following her own mentors, she was able to completely transform her life and became a multi-millionaire. One of Sandy's most rewarding personal and career highlights was in early 2005 when How to Be Wildly Wealthy Fast became an international bestseller, jumping past well-known bestsellers of the time such as The Da Vinci Code and Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'm thrilled that Sandy is with us today. Welcome, Sandy, to the Law of Attraction Talk Radio.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Would you mind giving us a little bit of background to get us started here?
I'll give it to you in a nutshell. Well, I live here on the beautiful Sunshine Coast in Queensland, Australia, and after I left school, I kind of dabbled in a few different jobs, and then I started, because it was around the Jane Fonda era and aerobics was in, I kind of started dabbling in making bikinis and leotards. And before I knew it, I had a business, and that's exactly what I did. I designed and manufactured swimwear and surfwear. I had a couple of retail stores. We were selling by party plan throughout Australia and doing direct sales. And from the outside looking in, things looked pretty good. I mean, people would have thought, gee, she's doing all right, but it was so not. My overdraft was growing. I was over $100,000 in debt, and I really didn't know how to build that business. And because it was like a brick and mortar business, you know, I'd go to work every day. I'd sit there at work. I'd think if I just worked a little bit harder, I'd be able to make more money. And, you know, when I wasn't at work, all I was doing was thinking about work. So for me, it was not a good time. And then I got divorced. So I had a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old, and I was $100,000 in debt, and I had no idea what I was going to do. And I was so blessed to discover the law of attraction. And I immersed myself in it. I realized that my life was just not, you know, by chance I appeared on the planet and I was like a leaf drifting down a stream. I actually had the power to make my life the way I wanted to. And I got so excited, but at the same time I got so scared because it was like, oh my gosh, now it's all up to me. and basically I just really delved into the law of attraction, learned everything I could, started applying in my life, and particularly so around money. My big thing was being $100,000 in debt. Being on welfare was a soul-destroying experience. It stripped all my choices from me. I, couldn't do the things I wanted to do. I couldn't go to the gym because I couldn't afford a membership. I couldn't get a massage if I felt like it because I couldn't afford it. I couldn't even take my children down to the local store and buy them an ice cream because I couldn't afford it. And I just so wanted to get out of that experience. All I wanted to do was be a millionaire because in my mind a millionaire was, they had it made. They had choices. They could do what they wanted. And basically that's what I did. I focused on it. I thought about it. I did everything I could in relation to the law of attraction and creating prosperity and abundance. And I have been able to go since, when was it, 2003. I was on welfare, and now I'm a millionaire. So I've gone from welfare to millionaire, and the key to it all has been using the law of attraction in my life.
Wow, that's fascinating. And it's so timely for us to hear your story during these economic times. So how did you get started in the law of attraction?
Oh, gosh. I just, the very first thing that helped me to discover the law of attraction was actually a home study course, and it was based around a business, and it was called the Delphin Knowledge System, and I don't know that it's still around now. But it just touched on universal principles, and I thought, wow, there is more to life than what I thought there was. There's more to life than just how we live each day. And that was the first thing I discovered. And as soon as I discovered there was such a thing as the law of attraction, there were universal laws, I did everything I could to learn more. And I basically jumped online. I read books. I listened to audios. I started going on teleseminars. I really immersed myself in everything that there was out there. And for me, I think what I really discovered was that whilst there was a lot at that time, and this is going back, to about 2000, there was a lot on the law of attraction, but it was very, and I don't want to sort of say this in a negative way, but it was very kind of woo-woo out there. It was really, it didn't give you any practical steps to combine the two. It was just, a little bit airy-fairy. And that is probably the main reason that I ended up writing How to Be Wildly Wealthy Fast, because I wanted to combine the metaphysical, which is so powerful, with the practical, with the, just do this and combine it with the mindset, and it will all come into play. It will all fall into place. But as I said, for me, it was all kind of big picture thinking, big concepts, but it didn't tell you what to do. It said, yes, you've got to focus on abundance and prosperity. Yes, you've got to focus on what you want, but it didn't say how to do that. And so, I really sort of did everything I could. I tried every strategy, every trick, every secret. I, made up so many things that could keep me focused on what it was I desired. And that's basically what I did on a consistent basis. I just focused on abundance, focused on prosperity, focused on wealth. Even though I did not have it in my life, that's what I did, and that's why I've been able to attract it.
That's what I've noticed. If people totally immerse themselves into the law of attraction with workshops and with books, with just living it 24/7, there is no way a person can fail. They're going to bring everything that they desire into their life. It's called the law of cause and effect. You study, you learn, you apply it, and you succeed. You can't fail. So Sandy, during these economic times that we're now experiencing, would you say that there are some phenomenal opportunities out there?
Oh, now is probably one of the best times in history to create wealth. The reason being, and if you go back historically, you'll notice that every time there is a downturn in the economy, straight after that, there are more millionaires created than ever before. And that's exactly what's happening now. So rather than people, and I always say to them, don't sit around listening to the radio, the negative radio, listening to what's on TV, listening to reading the newspapers. Don't immerse yourself in what they're trying to tell you is going on, because the more you focus on that and listen to it and read it and have conversations about it, the more you'll create it. But instead, understand that now is the time of golden opportunity. Now is the time that people need to be thinking about, what do I want to create in my world? How do I want it to be different? Do I want to create multiple streams of income? Do I want to have my own small business, something that I can do from home? What do I want to do? And how can I learn how to actually make that happen? And now is the time to learn that and begin to put steps into place, so that when that absolute tidal wave of prosperity comes in, because right now we're in that ebb. So what's happening is the wave of prosperity is going out. But it only means there is a huge tidal wave going to come in. We don't know exactly when, but it definitely 100% is coming. So now is the time when the tide is going out slightly, is to really immerse yourself in creating that millionaire mindset, in learning practical strategies to start your own business or create multiple streams of income, or better the position or job you're in, now is the time to immerse yourself in that. And then when that tidal wave of prosperity comes in, you are riding on the crest of it. You are on top of it. You are reaping the benefits rather than being, behind the wave saying what's going on, or even worse, under the wave, drowning in death. Now is the time to really get excited. And if people spend more time, instead of watching TV, listening to the radio, reading the newspaper, learning and studying and creating that millionaire mindset, they are setting themselves up for a future that is so bright it will totally amaze them.